What's up, DGens? Real quick video today. It's going to be over the Bengals. We recently saw them in the preseason with a single, solitary game against Washington. Really stood out. Made me want to make a whole damn PowerPoint on it because I just that interested in the Bengals. So they give us a couple opportunities for this. I'm going to just kind of fly through it with you real quick. It shouldn't take too much of your time, so just kind of sit back, listen, drive, whatever you're doing. So where the hell does this team rank? Because we've seen them come out with Joe Burrow, and the offense looks fucking lights out. Like they're throwing it on everybody. They do whatever they want. They got, the running game that they can, the running backs, I should say, that they can use to kind of continue moving the ball, get the short yardage, all that kind of stuff, right? But where exactly is this team as far as like positional rankings? Like, how do we quantify this? Because it looks really good, but again, obviously it's preseason, so we got to take that into account. So as far as unit ranks, and this is only going to show you the two teams, because the one thing you'll probably notice if you watch any of the Bengals, whether it's the first quarter with Joe Burrow or the fourth quarter with Joe, whoever the hell is back there, the offensive line sucks. It's just god awful. Like offensively, they have the firepower to do anything they want to do, but oh my god, that offensive line is just, oh god, I feel so bad for whoever's back there. Even in the preseason, I'm like, man, please, I hope you have insurance. But the Bengals offensive line is 31st. The only team worse is the Texans, as you can see, which honestly speaks volumes to me about the Texans, because if you're worse than this Bengals offensive line, I don't know what to tell you. This offensive line is so bad that it's been brought up time and time and time again from pretty much every publication that I have read, everybody that I've listened to. Warren Sharp is the main one, obviously, if you get his preview every year. He's talked about it now for at least the last 2 years, and I want to say probably more than that, is like you have this franchise quarterback back there, but ever since he came into the league, you have not been able to keep him upright because they just suck so bad. So that's really what stands out to me on this one. But secondly, and another thing that we're seeing in preseason, is the defense. The defense is just flat out terrible. So the front seven was ranked 25th. That is the ranking with Trey Hendrickson. He's not on the team right now, or he's not playing with the team right now. So take that into account, because 25 is saying if that guy who is that guy walks on and he signs a contract, you have still a bottom 10 defense at front seven, right? So he's just kind of like your only saving grace. Without the guy, I would not be surprised if they're dropped down to like 32nd, right? Just absolute last, or at least 30th. Just there's nobody else on that damn line. They cannot stop a run to save their fucking lives. Jaden Daniels, don't get me wrong, obviously he's awesome, but he ran on this defense, and who knows how many of the starters were playing. I don't want to pretend like I do. He's just like walking by guys. They didn't even put a hand on him. His touchdown score in the preseason game that they played, he just kind of like ran up the middle. Didn't look like he was going extremely fast. Like they just didn't look like they were really going to get him. So it's a problem. But, secondary is even worse. Like, how the hell are you worse? You can't stop a pass. And you've seen it. If you've watched either of these two preseason games that they played in, it is just terrible. They are letting everybody throw on them. And I know everybody. And if you're one of these people, please tell me in the comments, because I keep hearing like it's just preseason. They're not really game planning. They're not, doing things, and they're not blah, blah, blah. I don't give two fucks. You are in the NFL. You are playing man on man. If you're playing man defense, which it looks like they are because it's preseason, they're not trying to show all the complicated looks and stuff. I understand that. But you still got to be able to stop a guy. Preseason, regular season, postseason, I don't give a shit. If they put you man-on-man with someone and you're consistently getting burned, it's a problem. And it's not like, oh, it's just the fourth quarter. Like, from the start of the game, these guys are getting their ass handed to them. It's a fucking problem. Stay in denial if you want to. Keep thinking it's just preseason. Like, they're magically going to flip this switch, and because the calendar says September, the secondary is going to magically be able to stop something. I don't think that's going to happen. It doesn't work that way. You can tell me that you're not playing their starters, and I couldn't tell you otherwise, because I have not looked. I know in their first game that they did play the starting defense, because I heard enough about it from everyone else, and just kind of go back and watch some of the names on the back of the jerseys. That starting defense was starting in preseason game 1, and they got smoked. And game 2, I have not gone back to recap everything. I'm recording this the Tuesday after the game happened. But I would bet that there were probably more starters out there than not. At least to start the game, at least for the first drive. Because offensively, obviously Jamar Chase is playing, Burrow's playing, T. Higgins is playing. There's no damn way in hell that you're going to play those guys but not play your defense when your defense needs the assistance. So again, without watching the film, I'm going to say that they probably did play their starters. And they just got smoked. It was not even like... It didn't even look like they had to put a lot of effort into it on the Washington side. So... that's it. Now, the overall defense still ranks, obviously, really shittily. And I mean, who's surprised, right? So, these are the bottom 5 defenses per unit rankings, right? And so, obviously, the defensive score is just your front 7 plus your secondary. So, it's kind of like golf. You want to get the lowest number, right? Whoever has the lower number has the better defense. So, they're not on the screen, but if you were to go look at, like, let's say the Broncos in my chart here, the Broncos are one of, if not the top defensive score because they have like the number 1 ranked secondary and like the number 2 front 7, right? So they have like a score of 3. So that's going to be one of the best defenses out there. This Bengals defense is bottom 5. And like I said, this is with Trey Hendrickson as part of that front 7 ranking. So without him here, I would assume that they are probably behind at least the Jaguars. And the Jaguars are quote unquote tied for 5th place or for 25th place here with the Bengals in the front 7. So let's just say that they're at least behind them. There's a few others that have other, bad front 7s. I would probably put these guys more on par with like the Titans, at least, if not just behind them, which is just absolute last. So this number could be even higher. If you were to increase that score by, 6 points, you have them tied for dead last in defense with the Panthers. And so, just terrible defense. Now, the first game of the year, they're going to play against the Browns. The Browns, obviously, have just announced that they're going to start Joe Flacco. I personally think that the Browns are probably going to be a little bit better than everyone's expecting. Everyone's still kind of got that, ugly Deshaun Watson jizz stuff all over them. So, that's how they're kind of seeing that team. This team is going to be better this year. I mean, any one of the quarterbacks they put back there is going to be better. They're going to play more efficiently. They're going to play more consistently. And more importantly, as far as the Browns are concerned, and it's important because this is the divisional matchup, the Browns are going to have a better coach who's going to do what he wants to do now. It was pretty out there that Stefanski really couldn't do what he wanted to do because the ownership was so entrenched with getting Deshaun Watson and to playing to Deshaun Watson's strengths or what he wanted that Stefanski kind of had to take a back seat. Before that, obviously, he was great. He had won Coach of the Year and all kind of great stuff like that. Now that they are away from Deshaun Watson, they're going to go back to Stefanski really leading the charge, doing what he wants to do, doing what he knows is the best way for this team to win. So that team's going to be better. So, again, you're probably going to hear this. The Bengals obviously lose the first 2 games or whatever of the year, almost every year for the last couple of years. I'm not saying I'm going to automatically go bet the Browns, but that Browns offense in general is going to look better than what you were expecting. And that's going to hurt the Bengals. You're going to see this Bengals defense exposed the first week of the season. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, is that the Browns, for as much shit as they're going to get up to the kickoff, you're going to see a higher scoring game than you're probably thinking. Because that offense is going to come out. They're going to run all over this Bengals front 7, especially if Trey Hendrickson is not there. Which, even if he is, I don't know how much of a difference he's making because he hasn't really been practicing. And then even if they somehow, some way manage to kind of limit that Browns rush offense, you're going to have just a throwing fit with Joe Flacco. I mean, it's going to make you look bad. And if you have to come in on Monday morning and watch film on Joe Flacco and Jerry Duty, right, tearing up your damn secondary, it's going to be a problem. So defense is going to be dog water, as the kids say. And, man, it's just another preseason note. That's Joe Burrow. You may be wondering how he got in that situation. Well, if you go back and watch the film, my God, the guy's running for his life, trying to make a play. One offensive lineman puts his hands up and just surrenders in the middle of the damn play. Another one gives the guy the matador, red cape, just steps aside. Washington sacks the shit out of him. Obviously, all 3 of the defenders end up meeting at Joe Burrow's face. So, great play, guys. Let's just how do we play this, right? Because it's one thing to know, and it's one thing for me to sit here and rant and rave and tell you how shitty all this stuff looks. But how the hell do we play this? We've already gone over number one, the offensive line super weak. The run game's gonna hurt, guys. And so if you're looking at Chase Brown, if you're looking at his props, if you're looking at his totals, overs, whatever, I'm not saying he's going to be bad. Even if for fantasy, if you're looking at this from a fantasy perspective, he's not going to be bad because they can still pass the ball. And he may actually benefit from that because they're going to have to get stuff out of Joe Burrow's hands pretty quickly. There may be a lot of dump offs. There might be a lot of just really quick underneath stuff, little screen stuff, because they know their offensive line is trash. It's not a surprise. So they are already playing to this, and you can tell in some of the play call and kind of what they're practicing. Again, the part of preseason that I completely agree with is, yes, they're not going to call up all their complicated plays and things like that, but what you can tell is kind of the scheme of what they're going for. And the reason I say that is because if there is a team that, let's say, hey, we know we're going to need to run a lot of screens, we know we're going to need to run a lot of 11 personnel out there, that's what they're going to do in the preseason because those are the positions that they need to figure out. It's not that you're going to run your full playbook out of that configuration, but you need to see what it looks like, and you need to see the guys that can make that type of scheme work. So we're seeing that now in the preseason from the Bengals. You're seeing a lot of 11 personnel. You're seeing a lot of quick stuff, a lot of check downs, a lot of swing routes and things like that, bubble routes. So Chase Brown overall for fantasy could be fine, but his rushing props, rushing totals, rushing overs, unders, or whatever, they're pretty much going to all be leaning unders for me at least because I don't see how he's going to run with this offensive line. Secondly, defense is so damn weak. We know the offense is going to need to score. So, again, going back to fantasy for just a second, you know that whoever you get on the offensive side of this ball, they're going to most likely put up some points because they're going to have to. This team is going to be involved in a lot of like 34 to 31, 35, 38 kind of games. And that's what you want for fantasy. You want a fantasy that's not going to stop a damn thing because in Joe Burrow and Chase and Higgins and hell, even can't remember the kid's name now. The guy just looked really good last night. Like a third, fourth stringer. Well, he's going to end up being a fourth or fifth receiver, actually, for this team. He looked really good. So they have the receivers to do it. They have the running back that can catch passes, that can do a lot of these things that they need them to do to make the offense still work. So, and that's the number 3 part here, is the wide receiver room is one of the best in the NFL. The quarterback can make chicken salad out of chicken shit. So they're going to work it. They're going to make this work offensively. So play the overs. Play the overs on your passing props specifically, right? So if you have Joe Burrow, most likely that's where I'm looking at for playing him on the overs for total passing yards, total passing touchdowns. And even if you don't want to do it as a season long, even if you want to do it for fantasy, right? Obviously, take Joe Burrow as he's the 5th ranked quarterback right now. The way that this is setting up right now, I would not be surprised to see him end up as the MVP. Right, just because he's going to have to put up such big numbers. He's going to have to carry so much weight on his back to make this team successful that I could definitely see an MVP season out of him. As far as fantasy is concerned, if this team is going to be involved, if this team is going to try to make the playoffs or be competitive, he's going to need to put up at least 2 touchdowns a game. Like I said, even if you get on the goal line, which is like, hey, the running back might come back and, steal some of the touchdowns or whatever. They are. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're going to score rushing touchdowns throughout the year. Plays are going to pop off, things like that. But for the most part, even in the red zone, even within like the green zone, right, they're going to need to pass the ball. They're going to need to do a lot of short underneath stuff because they just cannot run. They just don't have the offensive line to get there. So the over touchdown prop for individual games, the over passing prop for individual games, the over receiving prop, the anytime touchdown, first time touchdown, all that kind of stuff. Look at that. And then most importantly, as far as just totals in general, so getting away from the props for just a second, playing the totals over on this team is going to be big, especially when they play teams that are not expected to be really strong offensively, like the Browns in a game 1. Let's look at the overs on these games because that's going to just the way that the defense is setting up, the way that the defense can't stop a damn wet fart. You're going to need to look at the overs on pretty much every total for this game or for this team. And the only time I would ever look under, if there is some sort of extenuating circumstance, like they're going to play in a tornado or something, is the only time I would look to take an under on this team as far as general totals. So that's it, guys. I hope that this was somewhat insightful. I'm sure I gave you a lot of stuff you already knew, and I apologize for that. But Let me know if there's anything else we can do for you, any other teams you want to see a preview on. As usual, this video was brought to you by Bookmaker.eu, which is still running a 100% free play. If you sign up using the link below, it is a one-time playthrough. Like I said before, you're not going to find that anywhere else. I've checked. They are already offering props and numbers, of course, on the Bengals, so take a look at that while you're there. But thank you again, and y'all have a great day.